My name is Monica Reed, and at 34, I built a medical tech empire worth $3 billion that my family knew nothing about. I was in a cab racing toward my childhood home in Austin, Texas for a gala marking 30 years of our family's organic food store chain. My stomach twisted with dread as the miles ticked by. It had been 8 years since I last saw them, and the old dismissals still echoed in my mind. My mom always favored my sister, grooming her to run the business, while my younger brother got endless praise for his sales skills. They never valued my path in tech, dismissing it as unstable. I pushed through anyway, scraping together loans and jobs to chase my dreams, turning a small AI tool for medical diagnostics into a global powerhouse. But they remained clueless, assuming I was still struggling in California. At that gala, my mom declared I deserved nothing from the family legacy. My sister smirked, my younger brother stayed quiet, and I held back, letting the moment simmer. Then a news alert exploded, flashing my name as a billionaire in the business world, flipping their world upside down. The room froze, their faces draining of color as the truth hit. My sister's smirk vanished. My mom's words hung in the air like a bad joke, and my younger brother finally looked up, stunned. I stayed calm, watching the shift from dismissal to desperation. They scrambled with apologies and offers to collaborate, but I saw through it, their interest sparked only by the billions. That night forced a reckoning, exposing years of favoritism and my quiet triumph despite it all. I walked away stronger, cutting ties for good, while they grappled with the fallout of underestimating me. Before I dive into how that evening unraveled everything, I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from and what drew you to this story today. Share in the comments. It's fascinating how these tales resonate far and wide. From my earliest memories, it was clear who the favorites were in our family. My father, Charles, had started the organic food store chain from a single shop in Austin, turning it into a network across Texas by sourcing local produce and emphasizing health trends. He prided himself on that empire, often boasting about how it provided for us all. My mother, Susan, supported him every step, handling the books and supplier deals with a sharp eye. But when it came to us kids, the spotlight always shone on my sister Danielle, 4 years older, who had a knack for inventory management and negotiating with vendors. She'd sit at the dinner table discussing profit margins like it was second nature. My younger brother Kyle, 2 years younger than me, had the charisma to upsell products to customers, charming them into loyalty programs. They fit perfectly into Dad's vision for the business. I was the middle child who never quite matched that mold. The stores required hands-on work, Monica, Mom would say when I expressed interest in helping out. It's not for dreamers like you. This was back in the early 2000s, but she clung to traditional views about women focusing on family over careers. She'd give me those sympathetic looks, suggesting I aim for something stable like marrying well. Dad echoed her, saying the business needed practical minds, not whatever ideas I had brewing. School became my refuge. I excelled in science and computer classes, staying after hours in the lab with Mrs. Barbara King, my high school teacher, who ignited my passion for programming. You have a gift for this, Monica, she'd tell me. The world of tech is booming, especially in medical applications. Hospitals need innovative tools like what you're coding here. Her encouragement felt like a lifeline amid the family's indifference. When it came time for college applications, I aimed for MIT's bioengineering program, drawn to its focus on tech that could save lives. I poured my heart into the essays and test prep, and the acceptance letter arrived like a victory. But Dad brushed it off. Massachusetts is too far from the stores here, he snapped. And the tuition. We're investing in business degrees for Danielle and Kyle to expand the chain. I researched grants and scholarships, but a major one fell through, leaving a gap. In his office, surrounded by supplier contracts and the scent of fresh herbs from samples, I pleaded for help. This is my chance. Dad, tech in medicine isn't a fad, it's the future. He shook his head. Your siblings are the ones carrying this forward. Figure it out on your own. Mom didn't intervene, just nodded along. So I deferred enrollment for a year, working multiple jobs to bridge the gap. Mornings at a local cafe, afternoons stocking shelves at a competitor's grocery, evenings tutoring math online. I saved every penny, took out loans, and finally headed to MIT the following fall. College was grueling. While classmates networked at parties, I balanced classes with remote gigs, coding freelance apps for small clinics to pay bills. Finals weeks meant minimal sleep, but I graduated with honors in 2013, equipped with skills in AI for healthcare diagnostics. My first job was at a Boston startup, low salary, but immersive, learning to scale tech from the ground up. Back home, Danielle and Kyle climbed the ranks in the family chain. Mom's phone updates highlighted their successes, Danielle securing a big organic supplier deal, Kyle launching a delivery service that boosted revenue. I was happy for them, but the sting of being sidelined lingered. The real breaking point hit during a visit 9 years ago. I'd just launched my first medical app using AI to detect early disease patterns from patient data. We were bootstrapping with initial funding, and I poured everything into it. At a family gathering, Mom asked about my little hobby in a patronizing tone. "We secured our first seed round," I explained excitedly. "Seed what?" Dad cut in. "Real work is stocking shelves and serving customers, not playing with computers." Danielle laughed. "Mom's right, Monica. When are you getting a real job?" "This is real," I fired back. "It could revolutionize how doctors spot illnesses. If you ever stop fooling around in Boston, there's an entry-level cashier spot here." Mom offered as if it were generous. I left the next morning without fanfare. Contact dwindled to occasional texts from Mom and birthday cards. They knew I was in tech but never asked details, and I stopped volunteering them. Standing at the door now with the gala lights glowing inside, I wondered if 8 years had changed anything. Mom opened it, her smile warm but brief. "Monica, you made it." She pulled me into a quick hug, her familiar scent of lavender hitting me. "Come in, everyone's waiting." The venue buzzed with relatives and business partners. Danielle stood by the bar with a drink, her husband Thomas arranging displays of organic products. Their daughter Isabella, now 15, fiddled with her phone. Kyle chatted with his wife Nicole near Aunt Diane, Mom's sister. Dad held court in the center, his hair grayer, but his presence still commanding. "Monica," he nodded without rising. "Good to see you." "Hi, Dad," I replied evenly. "Congrats on the milestone." Danielle gave a half hug. "Back from Boston. Still tinkering with those apps." "Something like that," I said vaguely. "The chain's thriving, we added 3 more locations." Kyle jumped in. "Revenue's up 40% thanks to our online platform." Danielle added, "I'm overseeing expansions now." It was the familiar flex seeking Dad's approval. I congratulated them, keeping it light. "What about you?" Dad asked. Before I could respond, Mom called everyone to seats. "Let's start the toasts." As we settled, the tension from years past simmered beneath the surface. Aunt Diane asked about my work. "It's progressing," I answered neutrally. Danielle snorted. "Startups fizzle out fast if they even survive." Mom beamed at her. "The chain's best year yet, all thanks to Danielle and Kyle." I helped Nicole with setup and she whispered, "Running your own thing must be tough. More fulfilling than inheriting one," I admitted. The evening dragged on with speeches praising Dad's vision and the siblings' contributions. No mention of me. Isabella leaned over, curious about my tech projects. "That's cool," she said. As dessert arrived, Mom tapped her glass. "Time for announcements." She stood confidently. "The chain has grown strong thanks to Danielle and Kyle. Danielle will become CEO upon my retirement, Kyle as president." Cheers rang out. Then turning to me, "Monica, you won't receive any shares. You chose your own road." The words landed, hard silence following. I nodded, taking a bite of cake. Aunt Diane frowned. "Susan, at a celebration." "It's family business," Mom replied. Isabella whispered, "Are you okay?" "Fine, kid," I said. "Families complicate everything." The drama was just beginning with the real revelation looming. As the cheers faded and the silence lingered after Mom's announcement, I felt a calm settle over me, born from years of proving myself without their help. I'd built something far beyond their organic chain, and it started right after that grueling college grind. Landing my first role at the Boston startup felt like a fresh start, even if the pay barely covered rent. I dove in headfirst, collaborating with engineers on prototype AI models for patient monitoring. The founders taught me the ropes of scaling tech, iterating fast, pitching to investors, and pivoting when data showed flaws. Those early months were intense, with code reviews stretching into dawn, but each breakthrough fueled me. Meanwhile, sporadic updates from home painted Danielle and Kyle as rising stars, with Danielle closing deals on premium suppliers and Kyle optimizing store layouts for better flow. Their successes were genuine, but the family's radio silence on my progress only hardened my resolve. I stopped sharing milestones, letting them assume I was scraping by. The turning point came when I left the startup after 2 years to launch my own venture. I'd saved enough from side gigs to prototype an AI system that analyzed medical scans for early cancer detection, targeting underserved clinics overwhelmed by caseloads. Bootstrapping meant lean times, a tiny apartment shared with roommates, meals of instant noodles, and reinvesting every freelance check. My first pitch to angel investors flopped. They questioned the market fit for AI in rural healthcare. But I refined the demo, incorporating feedback on user interface simplicity. By 2015, we landed our initial funding round, enough to hire a small team and test beta versions with partner hospitals. Challenges piled up fast. A faulty algorithm misread scans in early trials, nearly tanking our credibility. I pulled all-nighters debugging, fueled by coffee and sheer grit, until the fix stabilized accuracy to 95%. Word spread after a pilot saved a clinic thousands in misdiagnosis costs. Banks and insurers took notice, but growth demanded more capital. I negotiated Series A with venture firms facing skepticism as a solo female founder in medtech. One investor outright said the field was too competitive for outsiders. I countered with data on our unique edge in affordable AI, closing the deal at $5 million. With that, we expanded features to include predictive analytics for disease outbreaks. The pandemic in 2020 hit like a storm, shutting down trials and straining servers as hospitals flooded with data. Users needed tools for remote diagnostics amid lockdowns. We pivoted overnight, adding modules for telemedicine integration and virus pattern tracking. Leading virtual teams from my setup, I barely slept, juggling investor calls to stave off bankruptcy. It paid off. By 2021, partnerships with major networks like United Health Analogs surged our user base to tens of millions. Revenue climbed as subscriptions rolled in, and we integrated blockchain for secure data sharing, appealing to privacy-conscious providers. Success accelerated from there. In 2022, a breakthrough came when our system flagged anomalies in a national health database, preventing a potential outbreak misstep that saved governments millions. Competitors tried to copy, but our patented algorithms held strong. We went public in 2024, with the IPO valuing the company at $3 billion. Overnight, I became a billionaire, my name in industry headlines as a medtech innovator. Yet I kept it under wraps. No flashy posts, no interviews boasting. Privacy clauses with media helped, though leaks were inevitable. Why the secrecy? That family dismissal echoed Mom's cashier offer, Danielle's snide remarks, Dad's refusal to fund my education. Sharing would invite insincere kudos or demands for handouts. Mom's rare calls focused on Danielle's expansions or Kyle's innovations, asking about me only in passing. Busy as usual, I'd say, dodging details. They never probed deeper. As years passed, a quiet urge grew to reconnect, wondering if time had eased the rift. So for this gala in 2025, I flew commercial to Austin, ditching my private charter to avoid questions. I traded suits for casual attire, parked the rental car discreetly, and approached the venue with rehearsed composure. If they belittled tech again, I'd stay steady, knowing my empire stood independent. But doubts crept in. What if they still saw me as the overlooked one? The chain had boomed per Mom's updates, with high-end partnerships and profits soaring. Danielle managed urban outlets flawlessly. Kyle sealed tech integrations for efficiency. Me, I'd transformed healthcare for millions. But to them, it might remain a side gig. As I entered, the familiar faces stirred nostalgia mixed with resolve. Whatever unfolded, I was prepared, or so I thought. The shock was moments away, ready to upend their perceptions forever. The shock hit as Isabella's gasp cut through the chatter, her eyes wide on her phone screen. But that came later. First, the gala unfolded with its familiar undercurrents of tension. Mom finished her announcement, the room erupting in applause for Danielle and Kyle. I sat there, fork in hand, as whispers rippled around the tables. Aunt Diane leaned over, her voice low. "That was blunt, Monica." "You holding up?" I nodded, forcing a smile. "It's not unexpected." Danielle caught my eye from across the way, her expression a mix of triumph and something sharper. She sauntered over, during the mingle, wineglass in hand. "So the wanderer returns. Still chasing those tech fantasies." Her tone dripped with condescension, drawing a few chuckles from nearby guests. Thomas shot her a glance, but said nothing. "It's paying off," I replied evenly, not rising to the bait. Kyle joined us, Nicole by his side. "Good to see you, sis." "The chain's exploding, we're talking national expansion soon." His enthusiasm felt forced, avoiding my gaze. "Congrats," I said sincerely. "You've earned it." Mom called for photos, then positioning Danielle and Kyle front and center with Dad. I hung back, chatting with Isabella. "What's your app do again?" she asked, genuine curiosity lighting her face. "Helps doctors catch diseases early," I explained briefly. Her eyes sparkled. "That's awesome. Like saving lives, pretty much." Danielle overheard, snorting. "If it doesn't crash first? Startups are risky, Monica. Stick to what you know." The jab landed, but I let it slide. Nicole pulled me aside during a break. "Kyle mentions you sometimes. Sounds intense what you're building." "It is," I admitted. "But rewarding." She nodded thoughtfully. "Better than just stepping into ready-made success." As the evening progressed, toasts continued, praising the family's unity and the chain's growth. Dad spoke proudly about passing the torch to those who've proven themselves. No nod to my absence or efforts. Guests mingled, business partners congratulating Danielle on her upcoming CEO role. I fielded polite questions about my life in Boston. Doing well in software, I kept vague. One uncle pressed. "Any plans to join the family biz?" "Not my fit," I said. Danielle laughed from nearby. "Wise choice. We'd hate to see it suffer." The evening's drama peaked when Mom gathered us for a private family toast in a side room. With glasses raised, she reiterated the plan. "Danielle's vision for urban stores is unmatched. Kyle's partnerships will drive us forward." "To the future," clinks echoed. Then she turned to me. "Monica, you've forged your own way. No shares for you. It's only fair." The words stung sharper in that intimate space. Silence blanketed the group. Danielle smirked again. "You've always been the independent one." Kyle shifted uncomfortably, mumbling agreement. Thomas cleared his throat. "Britt, maybe ease up." But she waved him off. "Just stating facts." Aunt Diane spoke up, her tone sharp. "Susan, this feels unfair. Monica's part of this family too." Mom shrugged. "She chose differently." Isabella tugged my sleeve. "That's messed up, Aunt Monica." "You okay, fine, sweetie?" I whispered, squeezing her hand. "Adults make things complicated." The tension thickened as we returned to the main hall. Guests sensed the shift, conversations awkward. I planned my exit, sipping coffee to steady myself. The hurt from Mom's declaration mixed with relief. I didn't need their validation anymore. Danielle approached once more, perhaps sensing vulnerability. Look, if your thing flops, there's always a spot stocking shelves. Her offer, masked as kindness, only fueled my resolve. Thanks, but no, I said firmly. Nicole pulled Kyle aside, whispering something that made him glance my way guiltily. Dad remained stoic, chatting with partners as if nothing happened. Aunt Diane pulled me into a hug. Don't let them define you. You've got more drive than they know. Her words bolstered me as the night wore on. Isabella stuck close, sharing her school tech club stories. You're inspiring, she said. I smiled genuinely for the first time that evening. Keep pursuing what you love, kid. As plates cleared, the undercurrent of favoritism boiled over in subtle ways, Danielle receiving backslaps, Kyle fielding compliments while I faded into the background. Mom beamed at them, her pride evident. The gala's facade cracked for me, then revealing the same old dynamics. I excused myself to the restroom, splashing water on my face to compose. Returning, I caught snippets of conversation, guests praising the family's unity, oblivious to the rift. The real explosion waited, triggered by Isabella's discovery. Her phone buzzed persistently, ignored at first amid the noise. But when she checked, her reaction would shatter the illusion. For now, I endured knowing my truth loomed larger than their legacy. Isabella's gasp sliced through the murmurs, her phone clutched tight as she stared at the screen. Oh my gosh, she blurted, drawing every eye. Aunt Monica's in the news. Heads turned, confusion rippling across the group. Mom paused mid-conversation, her glass halfway to her lips. What are you talking about? Isabella didn't respond at first, thrusting her phone forward. It's her. Look at this article. The headline blared from a business site. MedTech pioneer Monica Reed tops billionaire innovators list at $3 billion. The side room went dead silent, forks clattering forgotten. Dad grabbed the device, zooming in. That can't be right, he muttered, his voice cracking. Mom's face paled, her hand trembling. Monica, a billionaire. Isabella nodded frantically. It's all over the feed. Her company's revolutionizing diagnostics with AI went public recently. My photo appeared next, a conference shot I'd kept low profile. The article detailed the IPO's success, highlighting how our tools had streamlined healthcare for millions, saving costs and lives. Danielle's jaw dropped, her wine spilling slightly. Monica, you're worth $3 billion. Kyle blinked rapidly, his confidence evaporating. Thomas muttered to Danielle. You had no idea. Nicole stared wide-eyed, glancing between us. Aunt Diane leaned forward, a smile breaking through. Incredible, Monica. Why keep this quiet? The questions erupted, then guests peering in from the doorway. Dad handed the phone back, his expression unreadable. This changes everything. Mom's voice shook. You've hidden this from us. It sounded accusatory, not celebratory. I took a deep breath, meeting their stares. It wasn't hidden. You just never asked. The room buzzed with murmurs. Danielle recovered quickly, forcing a grin. Wow, that's huge. We could partner our chain's health focus with your tech. Massive synergy. Her shift to business mode was blatant, eyes calculating. Thomas frowned at her. Maybe give it a second, Han. Nicole spoke softly. Monica, that's amazing. I'm happy for you. Her sincerity cut through the chaos. I crossed my arms. Now you're happy? An hour ago, I was the independent one, not worth shares. Danielle flinched. I didn't mean it that way, just teasing. Kyle nodded weakly. Yeah, come on, Monica. We didn't know. Mom tried to compose herself. If you'd shared earlier, we could have supported you. Her words rang hollow, echoing past rejections. Would it have you dismissed my dreams as hobbies? Chose Danielle and Kyle because I didn't fit. Aunt Diane nodded firmly. She's right, Susan. You've overlooked her for years. Isabella, still holding her phone, looked around in awe. This is wild. The guests outside whispered louder, some pulling out their devices to verify. Dad cleared his throat. Let's discuss this privately later. But the damage was done, their facade cracked. Danielle pressed on. Seriously, Monica, let's collaborate. Your AI could optimize our supply chain health metrics. Be a family powerhouse. I shook my head. You don't get it. I built this without you despite the doubts. Thomas looked uncomfortable, pulling Danielle back. Nick, maybe not now. Mom's eyes glistened. I thought I was protecting you, tech's unstable. But look at you now. Incredible. The compliment felt forced, laced with regret over lost opportunity. Kyle chimed in desperately. Give us a chance, Monica. We're family. I met his gaze. Family that only notices when billions are involved. The tension peaked as more guests crowded in, congratulating me awkwardly. One partner slapped Dad's back. Didn't know you had a billionaire in the mix? Dad forced a laugh, but his grip tightened. Aunt Diane stood by me. They owe you an apology, real one. Mom opened her mouth, then closed it. Danielle tried again. I'm sorry if it came off wrong. Let's reset, think of the potential. Her persistence grated pure opportunism. I stepped back. No resetting. You've made your choices. Isabella beamed at me. You don't need them, Aunt Monica. You're a boss. Her words hung, underscoring the shift. The gala's energy flipped focus now on me. Mom attempted control. Everyone back to celebrating the chain. But the distraction lingered, phones buzzing with shares of the article. I felt every stare, the mix of envy and awe. This wasn't my planned reveal. I'd hoped for quiet reconnection. But fate intervened through Isabella's scroll. As apologies faltered and offers poured in, my calm held. The real confrontation brewed, with my refusal setting the tone. They scrambled, but I stood firm, the weight of years lifting slightly amid the chaos. As apologies stuttered and the crowd's murmurs grew, I felt the shift solidify, their desperation clashing with my resolve. Mom stepped closer, twisting her napkin. Monica, please, let's talk this through. Danielle hovered behind her, calculation evident. The guests lingered, but Dad waved them off. Family matter, folks. Give us space. We retreated to a quieter corner, the gala's music faint in the background. Fine talk, I said, coat in hand, ready to leave. Mom started, her voice unsteady. I never meant to push you away. I thought tech was too volatile, you needed security. Danielle jumped in eagerly. Yeah, Monica, sorry if I was harsh, but now with your success, we can team up. Imagine integrating your AI into our health product lines. I stared at them, pulse steady. Team up, Danielle. You mocked me as the independent one, not worth shares. Mom, you cut me out because I didn't follow your script. Now you're sorry because an article says 3 billion. Mom winced, eyes welling. We didn't realize. If you'd told us. I cut her off. I tried. Years ago, pleading for college help, you said it was a waste compared to Danielle's deals or Kyle's charm. Danielle's face twisted. That's not fair. I was just joking tonight. You're overreacting. Her defensiveness rang empty, like a sales pitch failing. Dad appeared then, his face tight. Enough. Sit down, Monica. We need to sort this as family. His commanding tone, once intimidating, fell flat now. No, Dad, I replied calmly. We're doing this standing. The corner tensed, Aunt Diane watching from afar with a nod of support. Kyle shifted, Nicole holding his arm. Monica, we messed up, okay? Let's move forward. Mom reached out, hand shaking. You belong here. Always have. But her plea felt scripted too late. I picked up my bag. Belonging meant support, not conditional praise. Danielle, desperate now, pushed harder. Come on, think business. Your tech plus our chain, we dominate. Be unstoppable. I almost laughed at her audacity. You want my resources to boost your ego, not me. The room quieted further as I dropped the bomb. And speaking of business, I've invested in a rival organic network. They're undercutting your suppliers, poaching key contracts. One big deal you were counting on? It's gone to them. Mom's eyes widened in horror. What? How could you? Danielle paled, pulling out her phone. That explains the lost bid last week. Monica, that's sabotage. No, I said evenly. It's smart investing. You taught me to seize opportunities. Kyle's face drained. Our revenue projections, they'll tank. Nicole looked shocked, whispering to him. Dad's grip on his chair whitened. This ruins us. Why? Because you bet against me, Dad. Dismissed my path as unstable. Now it bites back. Aunt Diane spoke up. They deserve this wake-up, Monica. You've earned your independence. Mom's voice cracked. Please don't do this. We're family. I looked at her. Then Danielle, then Dad. Family that only values me. Now I'm done. Danielle tried one last pitch. Withdraw the investment. We'll make it right. Shares whatever. Her panic showed control slipping. No, I said firmly. Your choices. My response. Isabella, peeking in, gave a thumbs up. Go, Aunt Monica. Thomas pulled Danielle away, embarrassed. You've gone too far. Nicole's eyes teared, but she stayed silent. Dad reached out. Wait, Monica. Let's negotiate. I shook my head, heading for the exit. No more talks. I came seeking connection, found the same judgment. The cold night air hit as I stepped out, the gala's lights fading behind. In the rental car, hands steady on the wheel, I drove to the airport, thoughts clear. Back in Boston, I doubled down on work, channeling the energy into new features. Months later, reports surfaced the family's chain struggled, losing market share to my backed rival. They scrambled with restructures, but the damage stuck. I set up a foundation in Mrs. Barbara King's name, funding STEM programs for young women in tech. It honored her belief in me when family didn't. That night taught me family ties can bind or break. Mine had broken long ago. No regrets, just forward momentum. The end loomed with final closure ahead. With final closure settling in, I pushed through the door, the night air cooling my resolve as I left the gala behind. The drive to the airport was quiet, just the hum of the engine and my thoughts aligning. I'd close that chapter, no turning back. Back in Boston, I immersed myself in work, expanding our AI to new markets like personalized treatment plans. Reports trickled in over the next months, the family's chain faltered, shelves emptying as suppliers jumped to the rival I'd backed. Headlines noted their revenue dip, with Danielle scrambling for loans and Kyle's expansions halted. Mom's calls came sporadically, at first pleading for reconciliation, but I kept responses brief, focusing on my path. Dad's messages turned strategic, hinting at buyouts, but I declined. Their empire crumbled under the weight of their choices, a quiet vindication. To channel the experience positively, I established a foundation in Mrs. Barbara King's name at my old high school, fully funding tech scholarships for girls facing doubt. It was my way of paying forward the belief she gave me, ensuring others wouldn't beg for support like I had. Applications poured in, stories mirroring mine, dreams dismissed by family now empowered. Looking back, that gala night crystallized everything. I wasn't the overlooked middle child anymore. I was free. The hurt from years of favoritism faded, replaced by clarity. Family isn't defined by blood, it's by who champions you. Mine hadn't, so I built my own circle of mentors and colleagues who did. To anyone facing similar dismissal, here's what I learned. Don't wait for validation from those who undervalue you. Their rejection is often projection of their limits, not yours. Forge ahead, turn setbacks into fuel, and remember, success speaks louder than words. If they only notice when you shine, they've missed the journey that made you. Prioritize your worth over their expectations. It's liberation, not loss. This realization pulled me from decades of pain, and I hope it empowers you to claim your value sooner. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment sharing your own family challenges or triumphs. I read them all, and it's inspiring to connect over these shared paths. As I moved forward that night, the road opened wide, unburdened, and full of possibility.